So I was watching Demon Slayer on Netflix because it was finally added to Netflix. I'd been waiting to watch Demon Slayer for forever. So I enjoyed that, but that's a review for another day. So I wanted to find something that kind of had the same kind of feel or like action in it. And Akame got killed kind of had been on the back of my mind for months. As an anime, I had been planning to watch it because it had a really cool cover, and the second opening theme I already knew I liked because I'd been listening to it for a long time. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Akame got Kill as an anime honestly surprised me in a lot of ways. The way in which the characters in the story played out did so in a way that was just so exciting. Towards the end of the season, I was genuinely gripping the edge of my seat waiting for the final episodes. The story mainly focuses on the main character Tatsume and his journey with a group of assassins bent on overthrowing a corrupt political system which abuses the common welfare in order to benefit the aristocracy. As he goes through battles and missions with the group, he forms bonds with each unique character that feel genuine and at times pretty meaningful. As the show progresses, each relationship with the side characters becomes a little bit deeper and more emotional, giving the show a bit more depth. Now, I'm not trying to spoil too much of this show because I feel like the spoilers for this show would really ruin the viewing experience, so what I'm trying to do is kind of give a review in a very spoiler-light way. In particular, one thing this anime does really well with its characters is gives them all a pretty equal amount of screen time. Most of the villains and heroes alike get their own screen time to delve a little bit into their backstories and the motivations, making each character feel real and genuine despite which side they're on. Now, as far as the characters go, there are definitely some good and bad characters. Tatsume could be considered a pretty moral character. He fights for what he believes is morally right, and it's easy to agree with his motivations. General Esdeath, on the other hand, is easy to hate due to her lack thereof morality. Now, one thing I would like to point out about this whole thing is about the characters is that the way this show depicts them almost makes you feel sympathy for some, if not all of the villains, which I found really interesting because it makes the villains seem more three-dimensional and thought through. Some of the villains even know that what they believe in is wrong and that they deserve to be brought to justice. Others are simply following the system. And it's easy to feel just as connected to some of the villains as some of the heroes because their personalities are fleshed out in very similar ways. The way this show depicts both the heroes and the villains as corrupt human beings makes Akame ga Kill feel much more relatable. Now, this section does contain some light spoilers without going into too much detail, so if you don't want those spoilers, skip to this timestamp inserted in the video. Probably the strongest thing this show has going for it is honestly the deaths of characters and villains. The way in which these characters are brutally murdered can sometimes be very emotional due to the sheer brutality of the way they are killed. This is not one of those animes where people are reincarnated constantly or seem to have an immortality of some sort. This anime treats death in a way that makes it seem final and sincere. This gives this show a certain risk factor for the characters and leaves the viewer feeling as though the battles that take place have a much higher risk and higher stakes for the characters because we know that at any moment the characters we love could be dismembered or have their head chopped off. And no, I'm not exaggerating, which leads me to my next point, the gore. Holy shit, the gore. Now, if you're someone who enjoyed Attack on Titan, I'd say it's on a pretty similar level. However, it tends to be a lot more visually detailed with its dismemberment and such, and its pretty grotesque imaging at times. Personally, I think this gives the art direction of the show a lot of gravity, and I think it leaves a much deeper emotional mark. I'd like to take a moment now to talk a little bit about the art and music in this show. Now, I've watched a lot of animes in the past few years, and this anime's art direction really did impress me in a number of ways. Now, at the beginning of the series, I just felt a little unbiased about the art. It seemed pretty standard for the industry, but there were a few sections during pretty important scenes where the real artistry just shone through. The animation was stunning, and the camera work was just immaculate. So I thought it was pretty worth mentioning. Now, one thing this series seems to lack is good enough music. The first theme is meh, and the second theme is pretty good. I personally like it, but I just think it's meh. It's not the catchiest thing on the world. However, there is one theme called Going Home, which I'll play a little bit here. theme is just simply gorgeous. Personally, it really gets to me a lot, and I feel like, I just feel like it gives the scene that it's put into a much greater level of emotional impact. And honestly, I wish the scene were longer. If you do end up watching it, you'll know probably what I'm talking about. But it still gives the scene a really fantastic sort of feeling. In general, the action scenes in this anime are pure epic. Mixed with the gore and detail, these fighting scenes can be really intense and quite enormous in scale. Each character has a pretty unique fighting style, causing the fights to seem unique and not too repetitive. This, coupled with a fantastic epic final battle, makes this show shine alongside its other strengths. Now, a lot of people will probably wonder why there is only one season and no season 2 if it's so good. And honestly, after watching it, I pretty much understand why there won't be a season 2 or any type of continuation in the future. It just wouldn't really make sense with the place the show leaves everything. I'm really interested in reading the manga of Akame ga Kill because I feel like there could have been a bit more of everything as far as world building goes. And I feel like that may have been cut for time purposes, and the manga may have a bit more of that in there that was cut. But in general, this was a really good anime. After watching Demon Slayer, my expectations were a little bit higher than usual, but this show still surprised me in many ways. Towards the beginning few episodes, I was interested but not crazy about the anime, but towards the middle it started to really pick up, and the last 7 or 8 episodes are just binge-worthy. Okay guys, that's it for today. If you liked the video, consider subscribing and liking this video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.